Hello, welcome to Homo Sapiens. We are hurtling along the M1. Is this allowed? I don't know. But it's happening, listeners. How are we all? And those on video, we've gone vertical today because we're in the car. I'm driving to Saltburn-on-Sea today. It is a glorious day. And I'm going to look at all places up and down the coast around there. So we're going to go to Scarborough, Grimsby, etc., etc. And what a time to be alive. Beautiful coastal towns, previously big holiday destinations, on this beautiful sunny day, beginning of a heatwave. So that's me. That's where I'm at today. I'm actually quite always interested when going outside of the, small triangle of school pickup, supermarket, home that I live in. Although I did go out this week, more on that later. Very nice to see what the gay community is like, what the queer community is like, I should say. Although I will say, I've just been in a loo in a motorway service station because that's the gal I am. Well, that sounds dodgy. As in, I went to the loo. Things written in the loo that made me feel like people might be voting for Nigel Farage, which is, God, I literally looked at it and I was like, I haven't seen that kind of stuff in a while. It wasn't homophobic, it was racist, sadly. It just makes me sad, So that was my first litmus test. I was in Leicester though, so I'm not at Saltburn yet. And I'm loving the drive. I've got the car, I've had an apple, I went to a drive-through Starbucks, which, can I just say, still feels like they're the brand newest idea and I feel like I'm in America. What's been going on? Well, we went to the Attitude Pride Awards last week. When I say we, I mean me and James Greenwood, co-host of the pod. Also lots of other co-hosts were there, including Charlie Craggs. Russell T Davies was there. It was incredible. So the Attitude Pride Awards are awards for people who have done the most incredible things. It's not celebrities so much who win the awards. It's people who have done amazing things for the community. And incredible stories of, for example, this thing called, I think it's called the Tunta Ball, this drag ball that was set up in Graz, which I think is in the Netherlands. Now I can't remember and I'm driving, so I can't check. This amazing video YouTube blogger, whose name I've also forgotten because that's the amazing host that I am, who has done this. She has a YouTube community of over 1 million people about being queer, disabled, and deaf. And she's got this amazing kind of 50s look, and she sort of challenges ideas around all of those three things. So she won. And Emma Willis hosted. Now, Emma Willis, who is going to be the new host of Strictly, who actually randomly, I know from my childhood, I nearly said, well, my first ever job was at MTV as an intern, and Emma was the presenter there, and we used to make a show together called MTV Style. So we used to spend all our time together, and she has always been a real ally, and possibly not something that people particularly know about, but her allyship is, gold star ally. And so she was hosting, and she did this wonderful speech at the beginning and got really emotional about talking about how love should be love no matter what. She wants her kids to be able to love whoever they want without question. And it was off the back of Darren and Cliff, who both run Attitude. Darren owns it. Darren is the editor at Attitude magazine. Just talking about how rights go backwards a bit and stuff, which is never a good thing. And it was a very joyful afternoon celebrating people who really do good and people who really make a difference. You know, they make it their business to make a difference. I love that. And I saw Munro Bergdorf was there and Amru Al-Kadi. That was a very nice chat with them. And James Greenwood and I went together. And as those who saw stories, I was posting because James is just going to pull the plaster off pathologically late. He would deny that. Unfortunately, he can't be here today to defend himself. So we're going to go with pathologically late. And he actually beat me. He got there first. So a lesson was learned. But I told him to meet at 12, knowing he'd probably arrive 12:15, 12:30. I wouldn't define 12:15 as pathologically late. 12:30, but actually it was me who was late. I got all in a dither, you see, because it's summer, right? So it was warm, and I was in London, and I don't really have any clothes in London. So my friend Andy lent me two really beautiful, like summery suits. Andy works in fashion; he's super cool. And the problem with it was that they're that slightly flared trouser look that's very fashionable, and it just doesn't suit me. You know, I put it on and I'm like, I don't feel like me. So then the only other suit I had was this sort of wintry number, which did feel like me, but it also felt 100 degrees. So I did that. And I put on the suit, and I was really pleased, actually. I felt really comfortable, but I was also boiling. So then, me and James went together, and I love going to events with James because I just love hanging out with him. And James is like a really good person to go to a party with because he knows lots of people, he chats to lots of people, good fun. Today we had a giggle. So that was really lovely. Because I'm driving, I don't really have access to the inbox, so I'm going to have to do it from memory. But that's okay. So somebody wrote in saying, because last week we had Morgan Rees on the pod, we're doing an episode of Queer Joy, all the things that small things in the world that bring you all listeners, bring you all joy. And Morgan was talking about his socials, saying, there's a button you can press to stop you seeing all the topless men. So someone wrote in, I don't know if it was anonymously, so I won't say who it was, and said, how do you do that? I can ask Morgan, to that dear listener, but I suspect he was being silly. I think he was sort of trying to deflect. That's how I read it anyway, because I don't think there is that button. I mean, you can click through them. You can click on them and say not interested, which I've done. And that does clear it for a while, but they come back. So that would be my tip for that. And I'm going to say it. Someone else from the pod wrote in saying they've had a break off socials for their mental health. I'm going to say it. Opal, get the app. Okay. It's an app where you put it on your phone and then you just tell it what you can and can't do on socials, i.e. close after 10 minutes, don't let me back in. And it really works. And I think it's, I'm not going to start talking about it again because I've spoken about it a lot here, but I think it's great. Secondly, someone wrote in saying, a little irate, which we don't mind at Homotypic, don't mind that, saying, please can you stop slagging off eBay and saying, I said, that's £45 I'll never get back. This person is an eBay seller saying, you're giving it a really bad rep because you can get your money back. And then they actually told us some really good information about that. So I've come to you today to say sorry. And I didn't mean, when I said that, I will just clarify, what I meant is, I'm so lazy that I will never send anything back. That's all I meant. Because I think sending something back is like going to the dentist. So I just make myself suck it up because I don't make, I don't often make that error. Although, did I ever post a video of the tea bag thing I ordered, which was literally the size of my body? Anyway, so sorry to anyone who has been put off eBay purchasing because of me saying that. It's not true. You can get a refund. Amen. You know what I mean? And then it was Pride. It was Pride over the weekend. So weekend just gone. I went to the Attitude Pride Awards and then it was carrying on. So then there's like a party afterwards. Everyone goes out afterwards and then they march the next day. I had to leave to go back and be a dad, which I adore. So it was no hardship other than it did look really fun as I was leaving. I was like, oh, you guys are going to have so much fun. And then I got the occasional texts and emails and photos from people over the weekend of what they were doing at Pride. And James Greenwood because he marched with Attitude magazine and it just looked amazing. And so many joyful things, like Simon Jones, who is he's a PR person, but he is so much more, and he is a big champion of the community, he's a member of the community himself, but he did a big brunch and to raise money for Not a Phase, and there was a lot of joy in people's hearts. And I think, the story of decline and bad things happening is true, but let's also remember that there is joy in there as well. And I loved, on that topic, chatting to Morgan actually last week, because he's such a lovely man. He's just the easiest person to talk to, one. But two, it's so interesting to listen to him talk about his process, no? And how he thinks of jokes. And I loved all that stuff he was saying about it all just being a question that he's trying to answer in a funny way. And I also love that he said when he's having a stand-up gig that's going badly, he just says, this isn't going very well, is it? It is so interesting what I think, like, my kryptonite, the thing that would scare me most is doing stand-up. I think it's got this element to it, which I think is probably the hardest thing in the world, which is even if you're great, it can go really badly. But I know that if I did it, it would be very growth forming, I think the things that scare you the most are the things that make you grow. But on this occasion, I'm going to say, I don't want to do it. That's all the emails I can remember. You've actually been so kind and sent so many messages this week, and emails and things. So I will do a proper inbox visitation next week. And yeah, we can take it from there, as they say. But I hope you all have a wonderful start to your day. If you're listening at the top of the day, I don't know why I assume. So hello to all of you. Good morning, good afternoon, good night. And remember, hello at homosapienspodcast.com, at homosapiens on Instagram. If you are trans or you know someone trans and would like some gender affirming underwear from Zoah, ZOAH, get in touch. We are buying it for people this season. And yeah, have a wonderful day. All right, listeners, bye now.